What is the most terrifying fact? Part 1. Please like and subscribe to support this channel. The defense mechanism of the Fulmar chick. When threatened, Fulmar chicks will projectile vomit a nasty, sticky orange-colored, oil-type substance at its attacker. The vomit hardens and glues the attacker's feathers together, rendering it flightless. So now the attacker tries to clean the vomit off in a body of water, only for them to find out the oil-type vomit has effectively removed all possibility of buoyancy in water. And the attacker sinks to the bottom and drown, while the Fulmar chick looks on from a distance, watching, waiting for the bubbles to stop, and silently chuckling to itself. Terrifying. Years ago I saw an episode of Monsters Inside Me where this guy was doing something outside and a fly flew into his eye. It only made contact for about a microsecond, but it was enough time for it to lay eggs. After they hatched, they started eating his eye from the inside and he was starting to go blind until a doctor figured out what was wrong. Just imagine that, getting your eye eaten from the inside and losing your sight all because a fly very briefly made contact with you. Ever since I learned about this I get really paranoid when there is a fly around my face because of the fact that this could possibly happen to me. That no matter who you are or where you come from, addiction can consume you just as easily as it would your neighbor. You take a pill of oxy at a party and 6 months later you're homeless, stealing money from your parents' house when they're not home, just to get that next score of heroin. Prescription painkillers are too expensive for you at this point. You meet up with your dealer and get a baggie of the good shit. You go to an ally and shoot up. You then just pass out. Because, what you didn't know, was that the heroin you just bought had fentanyl in it. The fentanyl caused your breathing to slow and your organs to lose their oxygen. Your brain and heart lose oxygen and you die of a stroke. You can die any second of the day for no known reason other than your body has decided it's done with this business of living now. You have Brugada syndrome and you had a fever too long? Heart attack. You didn't know you had a brain aneurysm and you hit your head? Pop. You bleed to death inside your skull. Just really tall and kinda skinny? You need a collapsed lung. The human body is weirdly fragile for no apparent reason sometimes. That COVID-19 is actually a lot less dangerous than it could have been. The next one might have a longer incubation time and much higher mortality rate, or primarily kill people in their 30s and 40s, or both, like the Spanish flu. Imagine how fucked we will be then. In fact, I think we caught a lucky break with COVID-19. It's serious enough to force us to take it really seriously, and so learn how to deal with a serious pandemic, but at the same time mild enough to not completely ruin the world as we know it. COVID-19 is our pandemic dress rehearsal. Next time, we will know the drill. A method of epilepsy treatment is by cutting the neural wire that connects each of the halves of your brain. People who have gone through this treatment are shown to have two separate consciousnesses controlling one body. One half can talk, the other recognizes family and people you know, while the other is unable to do the same. They have specific functions that make them seem more or less likely to be the real you. Both sides have disagreements in choice. One wants one flavor while the other wants a different one, and expresses this by physically forcing the other half's hand to agreement. All the while they are still able to effortlessly do normal tasks they did before, like walking and eating. Vision is also separated. Something only visible to the right eye is only received and taken note of by the left brain, because right controls left and left controls right from brain to body. What makes this terrifying is thinking about these two entities and possibly separate people and opinions as this one important question. Which one of these is you? COVID-19 represented an immediate problem with a potential cost of billions of dollars and the potential to kill millions of people. And we couldn't even get the morons who live in this world, and run this world, to wear a goddamn mask. There is no way we're going to fix climate change before it kills us all. These morons will be denying it while drowning and using their last breath to shout, fake flood, or fake heatwave, or blaming the scientists for not finding a solution in time. As amoral as it sounds, the smart people should have killed the stupid people en masse years ago when it became obvious they were an impediment to the survival of the species and had no interest in not being stupid. There's plenty of world-ending, or at least human-ending, junk in space, and it's possible that something will hit us eventually. Most of what we know about is bright shiny things that reflect light well, but there are a whole lot of others that are really dark. It's like the solar system has a bunch of ping pong balls floating around. Some of them are bright and shiny white or rock colored, but some look spray painted black or very dark brown. We know where a lot of the shiny ones are, but the dark ones are almost invisible on the backdrop of dark space, and we only really see them when they move in front of something bright or light hits them at just the right angle. If they're moving quickly, we might have a few hours up to a week to prepare. And that's assuming someone spots it the moment it gets close enough to see with a telescope. Sometimes we don't see them and we only see them after they've already missed Earth. The odds are really low that we'll actually get hit by any given rock, because space is really big, but there are lots of rocks out there, with plenty of time to float around, so eventually Earth will get hit. What's terrifying is subjective, but I have a few that, although not completely factual, may terrify some people. Your consciousness ceases to exist after death. Some people may believe in an afterlife, but the fact is your consciousness derives from your mind and body, which degrade and eventually disappear, minus bones, forever into the same black void that existed before you were born. By this I mean no one remembers anything before birth. Only nothingness prior to a first memory. Free will may very well be just an illusion. Organisms are extremely complicated, and there are billions and trillions of mechanisms happening on a cellular and even subatomic level that constantly lead to the next mechanism being triggered, and so on. In the end, your body's chemicals and your brain's subconscious tells you what to do. Your decisions are ultimately influenced by these mechanisms, and thus, one can say that there is no actual concept of free will taking place. Just an unimaginably high number of domino effects. There are still nearly 14,000 active nuclear warheads in the world. This means when, not if, when there is an all-out war with a country that decides to use them, it will be the most catastrophic event in human history that will make the detonations on Nagasaki and Hiroshima pale in comparison. That the world seems more divided than ever, and nothing seems to be able to stop dividing us. It's like everyone but the people want wars and division because it is somehow profitable, and even though we the people don't want division and war, and we outnumber those in power both in front of and behind the scenes, we are being dragged along by invisible people, using visible puppets into a frightening future. EA has tried to buy both Minecraft and the Halo series. Dear God, I can only imagine how that would end up as. In my head I'm thinking about the first 3 worlds you make in Minecraft are free, and if you want to make more it's $3 per world, and double the in-game Minecraft store prices. For Halo, it's simple. Release only 10% of the completed game at $60, charge us $15 for another 10%. Repeat the $15 DLCs 9 times and you get the actual full game. Then comes 9 seasons, 9 total Halo games, including Wars, for $10 each or an $80 season pass. Nightmare fuel. The fact that no matter if you believe in the afterlife or not, death comes, and for all that we know there is nothing beyond it. I do not fear hell as much I fear nothing, the absolute nothing. A dreamless slumber, which never alters nor ends, an infinite dream from which you never wake. You just cease to exist. What if there is nothing on the tunnel's end, no heaven, nor hell, no afterlife of any kind, and conscience just ends? I might get downvoted because of how terrifying this is. We will all die eventually, not just you and me but the whole human race. It might be a war, a super bacteria, a super virus, global warming, air pollution, or water pollution. This would be in the next 100 years. In more than that many years we can die from famine or a drought. I forgot to mention we could also die from natural disasters like a hurricane, tornado, or earthquakes. Worst of all, some are preventable. We could prevent climate change to some degree. We can stop air pollution, water pollution, a super bacteria, and war. Sadly, they won't be stopped because the overuse of antibiotics, bad leadership, bad regulations, overpopulation, and lastly the endless pursuit of more money. The entire universe will die. Not could die or might die, but will die. All stars in the entire universe will eventually burn out. Imagine if humanity survives to the point of living on a planet with the last living star, and knowing that even your star will provide unlivable conditions within a generation or two, while watching your small children playing in the yard, or having your child proudly announce that they're pregnant. Imagine that overwhelming sense of dread that everything that has ever been, anywhere, ever, will end and die. Not just your life, not just your planet, but everything that has ever existed. The sun time randomly emits huge amount of energy. If one was reaching Earth in the medieval times, nobody ever noticed, but today it would fry every piece of electricity-based technology and our civilization as we know it would cease exist. Also, there are a type of amoeba which, while rare, could be in any lake or pool, and if it goes into your eye while swimming it finds its way into your brain and eats it. There is no cure. You could catch it any time you go into water. I'm not sure if this terrifies me, or just makes me sad, but it's the fact that we will probably never be able to contact any other intelligent life in the universe, if any should exist. Space is just so incomprehensibly vast. I mean, traveling at the speed of light, it would take 4 years just to get to the nearest star to us. In our tiny little corner of the galaxy. Let alone any other part of the Milky Way, or any other galaxy. You're probably talking hundreds of thousands, if not millions of years, for a signal to reach any of the exoplanets we've discovered so far. Then likely the same amount of time for anything to come back. Now consider this, from Neil deGrasse Tyson. What if they've already tried to contact us? But the signal reached us in the 1500s? We had no way of either receiving it or deciphering it, let alone replying. So what if, because nothing came back to them, they ruled us out and decided there was no intelligent life on this little blue planet? So basically what he explained was that even not taking into account the impossible to traverse distances, you need to send something in the right direction, for it to get there when they have the tech to receive and understand it, and for us to still be here when they reply. I personally am sure that there is other life in the universe, but I have no hope at all that we'll ever hear from it. Cancer. You feel sick? Mild headache and stomach pains? Just a bug, I'll sleep it off. A week later and it feels worse, I'm going to the hospital. It's taking them a week to get my results and I've stayed in hospital for days. I'll be back to see my family and tell them when I find out. Cancer. A small headache and stomach ache turned out to be cancer. That is how horrifying it is. Someone I am extremely close to, keeping their relation to me private for personal reasons, had this happen. It's that easy. It could have been there for years and they didn't know. It's honestly horrifying knowing you have a high chance of this happening to you.